Hi, I'm Abby. I have a lot of records, and this is Vinyl Monday. Alright, so before I get started on this week's episode, I want to thank Bruce Vinyl for the really kind shout out on your channel. That was really nice of you. I'm pretty new to this community, so it was just really nice of you to kind of shout out my channel like that. Thank you so much. His channel is going to be linked below in the description in this video. So as Bruce Vinyl and a few others have mentioned in my YouTube comments, I have a very eclectic collection. My music taste really is all over the place. People look at me and the way I dress and the way I do my hair and my makeup. My haircut is such a ripoff of Patty Boyd, and they expect that I listen to exclusively 60s British invasion stuff. And all that stuff is great. I love the Beatles, I love the Rolling Stones, but my music taste extends way, way beyond that. So when I mention that I really like this group, I get one of two responses. I either get, huh, really? Or, I'm sorry, who is that? I have been waiting so long to cover this album. I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it in the 60-second version of Vinyl Monday on my Instagram, so I wanted to save it until I could get YouTube up and running, sort of, and give this album the time and the attention that it deserves. There is a lot to cover with this record, so this might be a bit of a longer episode. And I'm kind of nervous. I don't want to leave anything out. So without further ado, we're going to get into this week's pick. One of my favorite albums by one of my favorite bands, if not my favorite band. This is the MC5. This is Kick Out the Jams. So a little bit about my copy. I'm just gonna take the plastic off here. My copy is an early repress, probably from 1969 when this record came out, and this is a censored copy. What do I mean by this? There is a censored and an uncensored recording of Kick Out the Jams. So the title track has a 12-letter word that you can't say on the radio, and on the censored recordings it was edited over with the phrase brothers and sisters instead of the word. Lame. So let's take a look at the cover art. B-roll Abby coming in hot with the footage. This cover art was photographed by Joel Brodsky, and you may be familiar with his work from the covers of these two Elektra Records releases. He also did the photography for The Doors' self-titled and for Strange Days. The Doors will become relevant later, I promise. And we have graphic design by William S. Harvey. Opening up the gatefold, you see the photography by Lenny Sinclair, and if I had an uncensored copy, you'd also see liner notes by John Sinclair. I'm gonna take a quick break from covering the album art to make note of the MC5's relationship with the White Panther Party between 1968-ish through 1969. Words cannot describe how crazy this scene was. I've actually written a little bit more about that on my website. That's also linked in the description. And you guys, it was entirely bonkers. Phone lines were getting tapped, a van got fucking firebombed. This was serious business. Say what you will about John Sinclair. Some people might even think John Sinclair was the downfall of the MC5 or whatever. But one, Lenny Sinclair is a badass, such an incredible photographer. And two, the MC5 was best when they had something to say. And once Sinclair and the MC5 started this working relationship, the MC5 had a lot to say. Alright, back to the album art. On the back cover, we have more art by Joel Brodsky. I love this front and back cover. This is just so sick. And I do want to point out Rob Tyner's shiny disco pirate shirt. This is one of my favorite shirts in rock and roll history. I really want to know what happened to this. All three of the MC5's official records feature the classic lineup of the band, which goes as follows. You have co-founders Wayne Kramer and Fred Smith, both on guitar, Michael Davis on bass, Dennis Thompson on drums, and perhaps the love of my life, Rob Tyner on vocals. You guys, Rob Tyner is one of the most underrated rock frontmen of all time, and definitely the most underrated frontman of the 60s. So the Detroit music scene in the late 60s was just incredible. The two biggest acts to come from that scene were the MC5 and Iggy and the Stooges. They were both signed to Elektra Records on the same day, actually. And the center of the Detroit music scene was the Grandy Ballroom. Now, the Grandy was supposed to be kind of like the Fillmore East and West, but the Grandy was not like the Fillmore. Detroit was not peace and love. There were no flower children in Detroit. And the MC5 cut their teeth on this incredible music scene. And they became kind of the house band of sorts of the Grandy. They opened for just about everyone, including Cream and Big Brother and the Holding Company, Procol Harum. There's so many more that I'm probably just not remembering. And this album was recorded at the Grandy on the nights of October 30th and 31st of 1968. Wait, the debut album was the live album? Yes. For those of you who are not familiar, this was the MC5's debut record, and it's a live album. I don't think I can come up with another band who has done a debut record that was live. So the MC5 did this because they didn't have a ton of experience in a recording studio. Their strong suit was performing live. I think it would have taken an act of God to get 1968 MC5 in a studio and producing an album. So to start out with a live record, they determined it would be the cheapest and the most effective route to take. And this was recorded in one shot. There was no test, there were no redos. This track listing pretty much goes as the show went. So the set, and therefore the track listing, went as follows. The album opens with Ramblin' Rose, with Wayne Kramer on lead vocals. These vocals are just so goofy, they're great. And at this point, Rob Tyner would come out on stage and, shout, "Kick out the jams!" 12-letter word here, and you'd go into the title track. Next is Come Together, and rounding out side one is Rocket Reducer 62 / Ramalama Fa 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 / I'm the Man for You. This was a song that went by a lot of names. Opening up side two is Borderline, then comes Motor City's Burnin', followed by I Want You Right Now, and the album is closed out with Starship. Now, Starship is an unexpected closer, in my opinion. This one is very much in the vein of Sun Ra. It's pretty wacky. Kick Out the Jams got slammed in Rolling Stone by Lester Bang, but it's worth noting that he would partially go back on this a little later on. And this is the record that got MC5 dropped from Elektra. Wait, what? Yes, MC5 was dropped from Elektra Records after only one release. Let's talk about the HUDSON'S incident. Now, the HUDSON'S incident is, I think, my favorite fiasco in rock and roll history. And if the attitude of the MC5 could be summed up in one event, I think it is the HUDSON'S incident. Let's get into this! As I mentioned earlier, Kick Out the Jams was censored with another round of Brothers and Sisters. Boo! Give us the bad words! But this still caused some issues on the radio. So because of that 12-letter word you can't say on the radio, MC5 was already on pretty thin ice with Elektra Records. HUDSON'S was an upscale, from what I understand, department store based out of Detroit, Michigan. And they refused to stock Kick Out the Jams, censored or uncensored, on the grounds of profanity. So the Hudson stores made the call to not stock Kick Out the Jams. I think this is a pretty hypocritical move. From my knowledge, they didn't stop selling the Doors self-titled record, and this album has a reference to Yeah, I think we all know what the end reference is. So I understand why the MC5 was not thrilled with being singled out. So in response to Hudson's, the MC5 takes out a full-page ad in a local publication called Fifth Estate, and it ever so eloquently said, "Fuck Hudson's!" Hudson's freaks out and stops selling all Elektra Records releases. Boo! Give us the bad words! To sort of compound on all of this, the Elektra Records logo was featured on the MC5's ad, even though they had nothing to do with this ad running. And then Elektra Records freaks out, and needless to say, they drop the MC5 like a hot potato. In retrospect, this is about where the MC5's streak of good luck ends. They would put out another couple of records, Back in the USA and High Time. I have Back in the USA right here. Update from my vinyl collection if you've seen that. I didn't have this record then, but they would never quite replicate the reach or success that had come with Kick Out the Jams. And the band doesn't really end with the bang that they should have. It ended with a whimper around 1972, which is so sad to me, so unfortunate. So what do I think of this album? As I said, this is an album by one of my favorite bands, and I'd say this is a damn good live record. And though I wasn't there to experience it, Kick Out the Jams, it captured what it was like to be at the epicenter of the Grandie, in the middle of this supernova in 1968. Whether you agree with the politics or not, the MC5 was a very political band. There was so much raw passion behind what they were doing and what they were saying that I can't help being charmed by this. It's just a great time to experience. So this record, it does what it needs to do. Borderline grew on me, you guys. I wasn't a huge Borderline fan until I revisited this record. And I think it was a couple of days ago I went, wait, wow, I get Borderline now. I get it. This is a really good track. I did mention earlier that Starships is a weird one. I think it's a weird closer for this album. I wonder what Kick Out the Jams would sound like with Black to Calm closing the album. Black to Calm was a track that closed a lot of MC5 shows. In fact, it was the song that they would play when the party was over and they wanted everybody to get the fuck out. It's not to say I don't like Starship, it's just given the choice between Starship and Black to Calm, I'm gonna go with Black to Calm. That being said, Black to Calm is a very changeable, very mutable number. Black to Calms can be really, really good, or they can be really, really bad. So maybe, now that I think of it, Starships was a more reliable closer. I do know MC5 recordings forwards and backwards and sideways and every direction. And if you can believe it, this was not their best night. Being a blues girl, I love Motor City's Burning. Rob sounds incredible on that song, but there are better recordings of Motor City's Burning to be had. The ones that come to mind for me are the recording that appears on the Thunder Express compilation and the recording from the Beat Club sessions in Germany in 1972. That is a really good Motor City's Burnin'. And there are stronger iterations of Ramblin' Rose. I think of the Tartar Field performance in 1970, which Wayne Kramer so kindly graced us with. Thank you! The MC5 is either credited or blamed for inventing punk. It depends on who you ask. We'll get into my thoughts on that in a little bit. I experience punk the way a lot of others experience the blues, which is I listen to maybe 3 or 4 songs and then I go, okay, I've gathered what I need to from this and I move on to something else. Maybe that's just me talking because I am a blues girl, I'll admit. In my opinion, this recording, these songs, they stay inspired the whole way through, which I can't always say for punk records. So do I think the MC5 invented punk? Sonically, no. Sonically, no, I don't. But in the principle of the thing, especially when you think of the HUDSON'S incident, yes. When you think of that across the rest of rock and roll history, a lot of people tend to think of a comparable event as being the Sex Pistols' soured relationship with EMI. But in more recent memory, I think of Death Grips and the No Love Deep Web incident. I actually just got another copy of The Money Store, by the way. I might have to do a vinyl collection update soon. This is the most me thing I've ever done, fanning myself with a copy of The Money Store. While I don't think the MC5 invented punk, they're still incredibly influential. I think one of their better contemporaries is Zen Gorilla. The frontman of Zen Gorilla actually sang with the MC5 in a reunion lineup, and I would have sold my soul to see that lineup play. Oh my god. This record is far from perfect, and I think that's what makes it so good. It captures this incredible raw power. If you want lightning in a bottle, this is it. So I think my personal favorites off this one are Ramblin' Rose, Kick Out the Jams, Ramalama Fa Fa Fa, and Borderline. You know, take everything I say with a grain of salt, because I am an MC5 fangirl. I might be the last MC5 fangirl. If there are other MC5 fangirls out there, you know, similar in age to me, who have the same amount of love for this record and for this band, please make yourselves known to me. Let's be best friends. It feels really lonely having such an intense love for a relatively obscure group. So hopefully me making this video, this review of sorts, I hate calling what I do reviews, maybe it might bring some more people to the MC5 stuff. I think this is a great starting point. I hope this wasn't too frenetic or disorganized of a video. I just have I have a lot of love for this group, and I really wish more people knew about them. So whenever I talk about them, I get emotional and it turns into this kind of like word vomit situation. So you see how I could not have just fit this into a 60-second Vinyl Monday. I had to wait until bringing this to you two so I can get more out about Kick Out the Jams. So that's it. Those are my thoughts about Kick Out the Jams. Is it perfect? No, but I love it anyway. If you want to see more Vinyl Mondays from me, you should like this video and subscribe to my channel, definitely. And please leave a comment telling me what you think about Kick Out the Jams. If you were lucky enough to be around this incredible music scene in its heyday, please comment telling me all about it. I want to know anything and everything. Also, hi, I wasn't joking about trying to address the 38 episode backlog of Vinyl Monday. So if you didn't see the pinned comment on my overview from last week of Their Satanic Majesty's request by the Rolling Stones, there are 38 episodes of Vinyl Monday that I did before bringing the series to YouTube. I cover a lot of great albums in those episodes, and I want to get those out to my YouTube audience somehow, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm definitely gonna redo the first 10 episodes of Vinyl Monday once season 2 of the Instagram Vinyl Monday rolls around. But then I'll still have 28 albums after that. That just takes 10 out of the equation. So if you guys have any suggestions, let me know. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching my videos. Vinyl Monday is just getting started, and I want to keep talking about great music with you guys. I really enjoy this so far. It's been great. Thank you guys so much, and I'll be back for next week. See you then. Bye. You guys are gonna want me to say it. All right, kick out the jams, motherfuckers!